Hi, my name is Dumebi, and today I will be sharing strategies with you on how to help your child differentiate left from right, to tell the difference between the left and the right, to distinguish between left and right. Some children struggle with this. In fact, 80% of children with learning disabilities will not be able to properly distinguish between the left and the right side. They need help. They need more help. And it's not about yelling at them or shouting and screaming at them, because if they could tell the difference, they will tell the difference. If you watched a recording on dyslexia, you'll see that it has to do with how the child's brain is wired, so it's something beyond their control. But we can help them to learn, right? Using visual aids, it's very, very possible. And not only for children, adults could also use it. We have helped adults of 18, 19, 20 years old, to develop ways to tell the difference. The strategies we'll be sharing can be used in the classroom or at home. Some parents are not even aware that their children can't tell the difference. At home, you'd have something like, okay, my bag is on the left-hand side, and your child is going to the right, but your brain might process it as an error, and you just say, no, not that way, the other way. And if you sit back and just reflect, you'd see maybe it has happened a couple of times, or it's always happening that you're sending him to one direction, but you have to redirect him somehow to the right direction. It could be through the point. It could be through pointing or snapping your fingers or something. You just redirect your child back to the right direction. You unconsciously do it, so you might not really know that this is actually a struggle. That except I snap my hands or point, or just not that way, your child won't know left or right. He won't know the right direction to head to. But in the classroom, what I like to do is, at the beginning of the session, if I'm having new children in my classrooms, I would like to test. We test different parameters to know where a child needs help. Now, help to children in classroom is not necessarily academic, right? Left and right. Some children can do well without knowing the left from the right, and they pass their exams. But there are some things you need to know that would really help. Direction. For instance, you need to know your left and right for easy direction, which is very, very important as you grow up. So I could step into a classroom and say, if you enjoyed yourself during the holiday, or if you had fun during the holiday, raise your right hand, for instance. You see a lot of children raising their right hand, but the person you should be concerned about is the one that seems to try and like he's trying to get his table sorted before he raises his hand. If you're very observant, you notice that the child is trying to gauge the side of the hand that is raised up more. He's trying to say, okay, this one raised up that hand, this one that hand, okay, that means it's this hand, so he raises up his hand, right? You can try it for a week, and the child is doing that same pattern of trying to do something else while gauging where the left and right is from other students in the classroom before he now responds by raising up the hand, right? So when that happens, you can have a conversation with the parents. Have you noticed that your child is struggling with differentiating left from right? Some parents might not know, and you just said, okay, just at home, give a couple of activities that can be done at home. You can say, okay, take the bucket to the left side of the room, or put your pillow on the right side of the bed. Just small activities, but don't let the child know that you are trying to assess for something, so that he's not too conscious or embarrassed. You don't want to embarrass the child. The goal is to help the child, right? If the parent is honest, they'll come back and tell you, oh, over the weekend, I really did notice that my child was struggling differentiating left from right. What do we do? Okay, and then you now proceed. If the parent is in denial, then you get more evidence from your classroom setting, from your school setting, because you also need their help at home with some of the strategies that will be used. Okay, so I'll be sharing strategies now. Let me start with the classroom. In the classroom, You could start by, like I said, there are so many strategies, but I'll just share maybe a total of 5. You don't need all the strategy, because if you are consistent with the ones we are going to share right now, you just need 10 to 14 days, 14 days max. With consistency, your child should be able to differentiate left from right. So from the classroom setting, your child has his own desk. I assume your child has his own desk in the classroom. You can mark the left side of his locker with the letter L. You could either mark the locker if you want to, or you use a sticky note like I have here, and you write the letter L on it to indicate left. So even when teaching left and right, I don't teach left and right together. Choose one. Choose one. Once the child masters one side, he automatically knows the other side, right? You don't, I see some people teach left and right at the same time. This is your left hand. This is, say left. This is your right hand. No. It's easier to just pick one side. Focus on working with the child to master that side, and automatically he knows that the other side is the one that you didn't consciously teach. So if a child has mastered that this is the left hand side, he automatically knows that this is my right. Okay, so that's what I do. You focus on one side before you move to the other side, and just leave the other side basically. And then what's the other one? There's another one. I like to use the left anyway. I like teaching left. I don't know, it's just easier for me to teach. I'm right-handed though, but I like teaching the left first. So I have a sticky note. I assume this is the locker, and I put it here. I just put the sticky note here, you know, and then I label it L. I just write L on it, and that's all. Okay, my table is so big, right? But if it was the classroom standard size, you put this at the very edge of the left-hand side, top left. I like the top left so that when the child is writing, you put it at the lower left. Chances are when the child is writing, his elbow would keep scraping off the paper, wearing it out, and maybe by the end of the day it's off. Okay, so I prefer to put it at the top side of the locker. So just put it L. That's number one. It always helps. So the child knows that everything on this side of him, everything on this side of his table is left, and that means the other side is right. You see, I don't have to label this side as right. If you're so intentional, you go extra and label the pages of your child's notebook. So I have this notebook here, for instance. I could use a colored pen or pencil. Let me use a pen. So I have a colored pen. I could just write L. I could just leave L at one side. L. So he knows that this side of the book is the left-hand side. That, like I said, if you're intentional. Most times, you know, it's advisable you do that, or you teach the child how to do it. He said, just open your paper and write L, 20 pages, you know. And he sees that every day he opens, especially on the subjects he'll be taking every day, maths and English, basically. Okay, so that's one. And then, for very difficult cases, or for older children, let's say children in elementary school, you have them memorize. I read from left to right, for instance, right? Not for instance, this is actually what to memorize. I read from left to right. I read from left to right. Every day they come to school, or maybe every 30 minutes, what did I tell you to memorize? And say, I read from left to right. Then maybe on day 2 or day 3, you give them a sheet of paper and they write on the page, I read from left to right, I read from left to right, I read from left to right. And what they do is that they can now see that left is on this side, right is on this side. So whatever is on this side is left, whatever is on this side is right. So it's like helping them to picture it in their mind. I read from left to right. So left is always before right, something like that. That's why I said for children in elementary school or secondary school, their imagination will help them better. Don't use this for any child in nursery school. Even grade 1 may struggle a bit. But for older children, I read from left to right. Left is first before right, right? Left is before right. So anything here is left, anything here is right. That's another one. And then another strategy you could use is reading a book, you read from this way to this way. So you explain to them that when you're starting to read, you could use their name, for instance. In front of me is Miss Sharma. And you say, Sharma, when I want to call your name, where do I start from? Here or here? And Sharma will say, here, Sharma. So where I start your name from is the left side. And where your name ends is the right side. So that is left and right. That's one. If this is still a hurdle for them to scale, we will now go further. And most times, once you get to this point, the children will learn by force because they don't like this part. It's too long. If they are still struggling left from right, we now advise that you write A to maybe Z, and you can bring it backwards a bit. So A to Z, A to V, A to S or T. You must stop after R though. We have something like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Good. So L is for left, right? Circle. And then good. L, M, N, O, P, Q, R. R. So this is your left side, this is your right side. Okay. So when it's on the notebook, it's the same thing. When you write A to R, you see that L comes before R. So where L is the left side, where R is the right side. So because they don't want to do this every single time they forget L and R, somehow it just stays in their head and they know that, oh, if I'm writing, so that Ms. Maybe will not tell me to write the alphabet again and again and again. L is here, R. They'll quickly catch this one, but this is the last resort. Some children don't need to get to this point. Okay? And then the next one, you can use it at home or in school, is the wristwatch. I think I have a wristwatch here. Yes, so this is a wristwatch. I also have a clock, right? There's a clock there. So this is it. This is a clock. I can't draw, but it looks like a clock. So you have 12, 6, 9, and 3. So of course this will be on my own paper, right? 9 is left. 9 is on the left hand side. 3 is on the right hand side. So with a wristwatch facing the child, I'm holding a wristwatch now. It's on my table. This is an analog wristwatch, not a digital wristwatch. On your table, the child sees 9 and 3. Where 9 is left. Where 3 is right. If there's further confusion, you let the child know that left has 4 letters. 9 also has 4 letters. For right, 3 has 5 letters. Right also has 5 letters. Right? That's the wristwatch one, if you want to use a wristwatch. So if the wristwatch is on your child's wrist, he just sees that where 9 is, this side is left, and where 3 is, this side is right. Okay, so this is very, very helpful. If you don't want to use the route of explaining the 9 left concept, just put your child's wristwatch every morning on the left hand side, and you say, every morning I put your wristwatch on your left hand side. This is your left hand. Where your wristwatch is your left hand. That also works. If your child doesn't want a wristwatch, or I have children who don't like wristwatches, but they like bows or something like this one now. You could have hair ruffles put on the left hand side, whether at home or in school. In school, if this is allowed, put it on the left hand side. Or you could have something as small as this band, put it on the left hand side. Or you could even tie a bow. Like for a girl now, this could be pink, and tie it into a bow. So you say, mommy puts her I love you bow on the left hand side of your hand, or on your left hand. Right, so I can't tie this myself, but normally you tie this into a bow, and then, so by this time you have spoken with a teacher on some of the strategies that you use to teach your child left and right, and that for the next 14 days, in severe cases, it might get to 1 month. That is for children that have extreme learning disabilities, it might be longer. So the teacher has to understand that the bow is on the child's wrist for a reason. It's a learning aid, it's a visual aid for the child, right? And that means that if you're using your left hand to teach your child the sides, you have to make sure that nothing is ever on the right hand side, because children work with emotions and are very sensory in nature. For children with learning disabilities or dyslexia, they are very emotional, right? And their senses are, how do I put it? They have high sensorial activities. So wherever you put something, their mind recognizes, or their mind has a way of magnifying the effect of whatever you do to them emotionally or through touch. Meaning that if you put this, for instance, for a child who is dyslexic, you put this and say, this is what mommy is using to show you that she loves you. It sticks to the child because you have touched the emotional part of the child, right? And that is lots of intentionality, still. And when you constantly keep putting something on the left hand of some children, once something is not there, they know, they still feel it, they still have a way of internalizing that something should be there. So even after you stop putting the band, sometimes they may look at their hands and say, the bow that should make me know my left is not here. But it's already in their mind that, this is the left hand side of their body, or left hand side, whichever one. For girls, I like to use this one, nail polish or nail varnish. You can see that it's the colorless one, but it has sparkles inside. So if you have a daughter who is struggling to even keep a wristwatch on, a bow on, a band on, you can just paint her pinky finger. And she says, and you tell her, you shine like the stars. You shine like the sparkles on the varnish. I use this because some schools don't allow nail polish. You don't want red. This is better. This looks neater, for instance. So if your child has to look at her fingers, she knows that. So you tell her, when I painted your shining stars, it's your left hand side. I'll always paint on your left hand side. So the part or the side of your hand that doesn't have any nail varnish or sparkle is your right hand side. But I'll always paint your left hand side. And that is what we have here. So you do this regularly. You have to do it for a very, very long time. Like I said, 14 days is enough. For some children, it might be longer because their learning disability is more pronounced, but that also works. Okay, what else? I think those are the basic ones, Okay, then another one is, you put your fists together like this. Extend your thumb. Make sure the thumbs are pointing to each other, right? Your fists are like this. And then you stick out your thumbs, and then raise your index or pointing finger. So the one that looks like the L is your left hand side. You can catch this. It's your left hand side. So automatically this is the right hand side. Okay, so I'll do that again. Close as a face, stretch out your tongue, pointing each other, and then raise up your index or pointing finger. The side that looks like an L is your left hand side. For children in nursery and lower elementary, you can have them put it on the board and draw on a piece of paper and then trace it out. L, left, or a notebook, for instance. L, left. This works a lot. Okay. Then finally, the easiest one is your child's writing hand. Master it for the child. So let the child know the hand you used to write is your right hand, or the hand you used to write is your left hand. Whichever one your child uses to write, let the child know what side it is, and that is the easiest one. Okay, no need to shout. Your child is always writing with right hand. Unconsciously, he just knows he's writing with the right hand. He might not know that this is called right and this is called left, but you just explain to him, Shama, you're always using this part of your hand to write. This part of your hand is right. This is your right hand side. This is your right hand side. You keep saying it. Remember, as you're going to school, the part of the hand you used to write is what? Your right hand side, right? That's the right. So automatically the other side is the left. So those are the strategies. There are so many, but I don't want this recording to be so long, right? And you can just pick any one of these and it will work. It will work. So no need going to get 20 pages of material to help your child differentiate between left or right. Just pick any of these strategies and it's going to work just fine. Okay? Thank you. Bye. See ya.